Hello tanks and tankettes, welcome to a bit of live gameplay. I am today going to have a go at the T-43, which I haven't really put any of my own replays up of, and probably not that many of other people's as well. The reason why I do these live gameplay videos, and I mention this every so often when I'm doing these, is because it's the closest I can do to streaming, and even with better internet I'm not going to be able to stream it. It's not going to be good enough for that, unfortunately. But you'll get some of the flavour of what it would be like, or at least what I think it would be like, if I was just streaming and playing things live. And it also gives me a chance to pick out tanks that you don't otherwise see a lot of, like the T-43. So let's give this a go and see what happens. So the reason I'm on this line is because I actually came through to the Russian mediums via the KV-13, which you can unlock from the Russian heavy line. So I've never played the T-34 or the T-34-85 or the A-43 or any of the other kind of mid-tier mediums. I actually jumped in straight at tier 7. And the KV-13's not bad. It's got the same gun as this, I think, 144 pen. So pretty decent when it's top tier. It's had some reasonably troll areas of armour, but overall it wasn't especially reliable armour. And this, well, I think this probably moves a little bit better than the KV-13, just going by memory. But honestly, if I wanted this level of pen, it's much better and much more usable on something like the Comet, where you've got better gun depression, I think better mobility, definitely a better DPM. And the T-43 by comparison, well, it's got pretty decent gun depression, not as good as the Comet, but it's still pretty good. But it's just, I don't know, nobody's scared of the T-43, whereas a well-played Comet is something to be at least respected. So let's try poking around in the middle. This is pretty terrible matchmaking as it goes. There's only a couple of tier 7s on each team, so I really can't afford to be too forward, too aggressive. I'm very much in a support role here, as is that 3002D. So let's just hope, I mean there's only one RT, let's just hope he doesn't decide to focus this middle area, because that could get painful very quickly. I also don't have an especially good crew on this, just because I haven't played it very much. I mean the first Russian crew that's an E50. First Russian medium crew I ever had was one that I recruited fresh for the KV-13, and it doesn't take that long to get from the KV-13 to the T-43, because it's going from one tier 7 medium to another tier 7 medium, so the XP requirements are fairly low. But that means that you don't get a chance to train up an especially good crew in the meantime. So they're only kind of 3/4 of the way to their first crew skill at this point. So we don't want to mess with that E50, because he will easily tear me a new one. I might get a side shot into that AMX-30 though. But even though he doesn't have especially good side armour, I think I just pinged his turret or something there. This gun is not especially great, and it doesn't have some of the benefits that the Comet has. Alas, alack. So I've got to be cautious. I don't know when I'm spotted or when I'm not spotted. It's all just kind of paying attention and educated guesses. And, you know, if I get shot, generally speaking, that means, yes, I have been spotted. Also, it doesn't help that these people are all... If you're milling around on the back there, I mean, if there's lots of artillery, then okay, it's understandable. But in this case, there's only one arty, and they're all being very cautious. And that means we don't have any eyes on the cap whatsoever. So I might need to make a suicidal dash into the cap circle, but it will be a suicidal dash. And it's actually pretty good odds that I won't even make it into the cap circle, because they are probably going to have a fair whack of tanks. Let's go with this 3002. Oh, no, I can't go up there apparently. Well, okay then. Okay, so much for that plan. Let's back off. Now, they've managed to reset, which is good. But honestly, these people need to move up. It's really... I don't know how many times you have to play this map to realise that that's a bad position. You can't do anything really from there. Especially in encounter mode, where the cap circle is here. It absolutely becomes crucial to have a good presence on the hill. Right. It'd be very hard to miss that. Oh ho. And... oh, if I can do some damage to him, that I think would be rather useful. And the fact that he's so tall is also useful. About to be spotted there, okay. But this is where my gun becomes a little bit painful, because even with the side shots I was still bouncy. Seriously, these people are... Why go up the hill if you're going to sit there? I don't know. But it's a bad place to be. I mean, the bulldog is probably about to die. It's probably the only thing that's sort of keeping us in this at the moment. Well, I am really quite struggling here. I know he's tier 8, but even so. Side shots on his flat armour. One would hope. Right, someone else killed him. Would actually do some damage, but I've only done... I've had 2 penetrating shots so far. Well, +2 matchmaking. It's so good a lot of the time. When tanks are just so well balanced for it. Oh, 252. Definitely hurt him. It's a little bit risky, but... Oh. Right, MX-30, don't want to mess with that. So the E-50's poking on the other side. Also, it looks like on the 1-2 line we had one tank that pushed, and it seems to be one charioteer that's been holding everybody back. So if the KV-4 had gone up with our ISA and ISU, this may be a different story, but as it is, we're not particularly winning any part of the map. And the glorious thing about this matchmaking and being in this kind of tank in this matchmaking is there's relatively little I can do about it. It absolutely limits your effectiveness in this kind of situation. Come on, gun. I know you're not the most accurate gun, but just 1 or 2 shots landing on mark would be rather nice. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. This is not going so well, is it? But, yeah, sometimes the game with the matchmaking you get and the teammates it hands you just decide that you're not going to have such a good time. And there are certain tanks where that happens more often than others, as you can imagine. Uh-oh, yeah, I can't pen his turret, so that's a problem. I'm going to have to go to the APCR here. And if I get to a position where it forces him to come more over the ridge, I've really only got that ISU for backup. 122S, so good rate of fire. Certainly enough to pen some mediums, although the E-50 might give him some trouble. But yeah, this is a problem. 6A, I mean, it's not totally against us, but we don't... I mean, they're not... Whoa, hello. They don't particularly have control of any one area, although they're not immediately pressing on the cap, which is good, but I'm feeling a little bit lonely right now, which is not so good. So I definitely want to be wary of the charioteer on the 1 line. He could smack me rather nastily if he has the top gun. I'll be wary of that. I think he's just spotting the KV-4. Well, there's a T-44. If they can take him out, that's good. But they've got a bunch of stuff on the island, which means our IS-3 is basically stuck there. Waffenträger, if he tries to go in the cap, is going to get focused. And hello, that's the E-50. Oh, that was incredibly lucky. Right, I absolutely need shots on this guy, though. Yeah, I don't think I can pen him, honestly. Oh, why don't I just repair? Yeah, no, I should have, really, shouldn't I? That was my bad for not repairing, but honestly, even with Prem ammo, I couldn't pen him, apparently. Because +2 matchmaking is so good sometimes. It's just so good. Honestly, that and artillery. I did a whole video on that, though. I mean, what was it called? This is not the hype train. It was one where I played Train Sim 2014 or 2015, whichever one it is. And I basically talked for 25 minutes, half an hour about... in relation to Armoured Warfare, because Armoured Warfare has put some of these changes in. I mean, Armoured Warfare only has +1 matchmaking. Oh, nice shot there. And obviously artillery works rather differently. And they're talking about changes in artillery with World of Tanks, and they're probably doing internal testing and trying out all kinds of different concepts. But +2 matchmaking for a lot of vehicles in this game is just painful, and tier 7 mediums are particularly badly affected. At least some of them. And the thing is, you end up sometimes with machines that are really good when they're top tier, but absolutely terrible when they're bottom tier, and that makes for a very, very inconsistent gameplay experience. And at the lower tiers, especially when you get to your first tier 3 tank, which doesn't take very long, you are suddenly confronted with tier 5s, and sometimes you're in a machine that can literally do nothing. You're basically dead weight on the team, and I kind of felt like dead weight on this team, to be honest, because there were a lot of machines in this particular matchup that I just could not really have a hope of hurting. I don't know, so maybe I should have been up on the hill, maybe that would have been a better position, but then we would have had less of a presence in the middle, but not that my presence in the middle really ended up meaning that much, because I only did, what, less than 1,000 damage? I'm not convinced it would have ultimately changed anything. I probably would have just died up on the hill, but anyway, even if I had been in a different position, I still would have been reliant on these same teammates to pull their weight for their tier, basically. And that is probably the worst thing about being a bottom tier, is that you end up feeling quite often like there's not a lot that you can do, and there are things, even if they didn't do +1 matchmaking, there are still things that could be done by wargaming, and a big one would be, actually, if you are in a situation like this, where I was very, very bottom tier, where this was very bad matchmaking for me in my tier 7 medium tank, in my not particularly great tier 7 medium tank, one thing they could do is basically sort of have adaptive hit points, so that if you're in this position, you get more hit points to work with. Because one of the really big disadvantages, apart from, in my case, inadequate firepower for dealing with higher tiers, is the fact that I just have a lot less hit points to play with. So they can well afford to take hits from me, but I really can't afford to take hits from them. Even if I'd been able to pen that E50, it wouldn't have hurt him really at all. He'd have lost, what, 160 health at most? Whereas he could hit me for, even if he hadn't rammed me to death, he could have easily hit me for 400. And he can way more afford 160 than I can afford 400. So it's just one of the many, many ways in which the current setup kinda sucks. And it's one of those things where, when you're playing the game for the first time through, let's say you're only a couple of thousand battles in, you probably don't notice it nearly as much because it's still got that new game smell. But once you've played it for, I mean, I've been here for over 25,000 battles at this point. I've been playing for over 2 years. In fact, I've been doing the channel for about 2 years? Yeah, no, over 2 years at this point. So I've been playing even longer than that. I've probably been playing for nearly 3 years at this point. But there's things when you play a game over and over and over, there's things that you notice that you don't necessarily notice when you first started playing it. And that's one of the things that has more irked me as time has gone by. So yeah, there's that and the role of artillery, but I've done a reprieve of that whole separate video I did. So if you're interested on thoughts on the subject, because I was talking about that, I was talking about artillery, I was talking about RNG as well. So yeah, go and check that out. I think it's on the miscellaneous playlist. Like I said, it's called "This Is Not the Hype Train," and there's a big picture of a Gresley A4 Pacific on the front. And if you know what one of those is, well done, you're a train nerd. But yeah, I thought it was an interesting set of topics to have a discussion about. And I'm under no illusion that me wittering on about these things in YouTube videos is going to change wargaming's mind. But if it brings it to people's awareness, you know, if they're, whoa, hello, if they're more conscious of these things generally, you know, it's good to think about the games that you're playing. It's good to treat these as a medium to think about in the same way that people think about, you know, films and books and whatever. So yeah, just because it's a video game doesn't make it immune to applying a little bit of brain power every now and then. So we've got a bit of muscle here, that's good, KV4. This is better matchmaking, definitely. It's still not fantastic, but definitely better. And now I can definitely pen this guy if the gun is just, you know, behaves enough to. There we go. I got the kill. 13 health. Woo! I'm so OP. Yeah, it's one of these things where this particular tank is just low pen with not particular accuracy. It's not a good combo. Generally. Right, that guy is actually fairly hulled down, which is very sneaky of him. So we're going to have to use my amazing speed, which is so amazing. It's not really, but, you know, let's pretend. See if I can't get up around behind him. Also, they did actually have a fair few tanks over on this side, but they were all on the 7-8 line, which is unusual. Right. Well, that was never going to pen. Oh, hello, Stuart Emil. That has a nasty gun. Right, let's pop a shot in him. Now, I've got to really try and snapshot this. Don't want to have to sit and aim and let him aim, because he can smack me for far more than I can smack him. But the fact that it's 2 versus 1 is very useful. Oh, there we go. Right, let's turn back into the forest. So that KV-4 may well get overwhelmed, and if the 5100 gets a jump on him, that would be a bad thing. Now, what is bad is that they just have... well, the CDC is low health, but the Type 59 I might struggle to pen, so we'll see how that goes. Can't really worry about the other side of the map just now, though. And 5100 is low health, which is very useful. Okay. Which is going to make him, in theory... Oh, cautious. Oh, come on, gun. Come on, gun. Come on, behave. Nice, there we go. Let's go around this way. Can definitely kill the WZ, and I'm going to have to spend some of my hit points here against that Type 59. In fact, there's every chance he'll just kill me. Oh! Ouch. Yeah, that was my driver. No! No ram! No ram kill! I've had enough of that today already. Thank you. Right, we've won. Okay. This time, I've got 3 kills and I've actually done 500 damage. T-43 OP. This is why you never see any of my replays, because most of my games in this tank are just thoroughly mediocre, because it's kind of a mediocre machine. If I want to have a tier 7 medium that I have fun in, I either get the Panther, which is a really good support machine, and kind of scales up to tier 9. You know, you're not doing a lot of damage, but you've got a much better chance of actually penning something, because you've got over 50 extra penetration, and not that much less damage per shot. And it's a lot more accurate. The machine itself is not so bad. And then, for being a top tier bully, the Comet just far outshines the T-43 in basically every way. So that's why it's taking me a long time to get to the T-44. And I don't think that's going to be particularly great either, because you're running around with 175 pen and 250 average damage in a tier 8 medium tank, which can see things like E100s and VKBs and IS-7s, and yeah. And it doesn't seem to particularly have a great set of other stats to make up for it, so I'm not looking forward to that grind either, but, you know, slowly, surely, steadily I will get there eventually someday, and then I'll get to the T-54, probably just after it's been majorly nerfed, because that's how I like to do things. Anyway, I think that's enough rambling for now. Let's wrap this up. So, if you enjoyed this video, you can hit the like button, you can leave any comments below, you can subscribe to my channel, and as always, stay tuned for more.